My son cried with joy when I won the lottery. Hours later, he had me declared incompetent to steal it all. Some betrayals feel like a knife in the back, but the worst is when it comes from the person you love the most. Today, I'm going to tell you something I never thought I would. And if you, for just a second, feel like this sounds familiar, I only ask that you leave a like and subscribe. It will help me to keep unburdening myself. My name is Hope Anderson. I'm 67 years old, and for my entire life, I've lived in the same neighborhood in Chicago. Here, where the brick bungalows mix with the smell of barbecue from backyard cookouts, where the Sunday farmers market fills with the calls of fresh corn, sweet corn, and where I, since the age of 14, learned the dignity of hard work. That Tuesday morning, like every morning for the last 40 years, I got up at 5:30. My wrinkled hands, stained from years of detergents and bleach, fumbled for my flowered housecoat hanging on a rusty nail on the wall. The same housecoat my late mother gave me for my 60th birthday. The same one my daughter-in-law, Jessica, looked at with disdain every time she visited. I turned on the television. A tube TV we bought in 1995 that still works, though the picture is greenish and you have to smack it on the side when it freezes. The Powerball numbers started to appear. 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, 47. I had them all. I felt my legs go weak. The ticket trembled in my hands like a dry leaf in the October wind. $32 million. $32 million. More money than I had seen in my entire life. I sat down on my plastic chair, the one with a shorter leg that wobbled every time I moved. I looked around my little room, the peeling paint on the walls, the ceiling with water stains that looked like maps of countries I'd never visit, the thin mattress on the floor where I'd slept for 10 years, ever since Jason told me it was better for me to be near the kitchen in case he needed something at night. With my hand still shaking, I dialed my son's number. "Hello, Mom?" His voice sounded tired, the way it always did when I called. "Jason, honey, I won the lottery." Silence. A silence so long I thought the call had dropped. "What did you say?" "I won, my love. $32 million. My voice broke. For the first time in years, I had good news to share with him. "Mom, are you sure? Don't lie to me. I swear to God it's true, son. I have the ticket right here in my hands." Another silence. And then, sobbing, my son was crying. "Forgive me, Mom. Forgive me for everything. No one is ever going to make you suffer again. I'm coming to get you right now. Don't leave the house, you hear me? Don't tell anyone. I'm coming for you." He hung up. I just sat there, phone in hand, feeling something I hadn't felt in decades. Hope. My own name finally made sense again. Jason was coming for me. I was finally important to someone. I was finally more than a burden, more than the old woman who was in the way in her own home, more than the mother who cleaned other people's houses to survive while he and his wife lived their perfect life in the master bedroom. That afternoon, when I heard Jason's car pull up outside, my heart was beating like a drum. 2 hours had passed since my call, but he wasn't alone. Jessica was there too. I saw them get out of the car, their faces serious, almost solemn. When I opened the door, something in their eyes changed. Jason looked at me in a way he hadn't in years. He hugged me tight, so tight that for a moment I forgot all the dismissals, all the times he had made me feel invisible in my own house. "My beautiful mom," he whispered in my ear. "My gorgeous mom, I love you so much." Jessica, who had never offered me more than polite words laced with annoyance, took my hands. "Mrs. Anderson, you are the queen of this family. Everything you have is yours, and we're going to take care of it for you." They had me sit on the living room sofa, the one I'd bought with my savings from 5 years of cleaning offices, but where I'd never been invited to sit. Jessica went to the kitchen and brought me a glass of cold water with ice. Ice, as if I were a special guest. "Have you been to the lottery office yet?" Jason asked, sitting beside me. "No, son. I waited for you. I don't know how to do any of that." "You did the right thing, Mom. We'll go together tomorrow. But we need to talk about something important." Jessica returned with a notebook and a pen. "Hope, you're getting older. We don't want anyone to take advantage of you or for you to make a mistake. We're going to protect you." "Protect me from what?" I asked, confused. "From bad people, Mom. Jason said. When they find out you've won, they'll come like vultures. Relatives you've never met, fake friends, scammers. We need you to put everything in a family trust so nobody can trick you. But how? I don't understand. It's very simple, Jessica chimed in, with a smile that now seemed strange to me. You just need to sign a few papers at the bank tomorrow to protect your money so that nobody can take it from you. That night, I lay on my mattress on the floor. But for the first time in years, my back didn't ache. My soul didn't ache. My son had hugged me. He had told me he loved me. Jessica had treated me like a queen. I closed my eyes, imagining a new little house with a garden where I could have my tomato and mint plants, where I could invite my best friend Brenda over for coffee without anyone telling me I was in the way, where I could be happy for the years I had left. I didn't know I had just lived my last day of freedom. I didn't know that tomorrow I would sign my own living death sentence. I didn't know that my son's hug had been the most fraudulent of his life, and of mine. The next morning, I woke up with a strange feeling in my chest, like when I was a little girl and it was the day of the Christmas pageant at school. A mix of nerves and excitement that made even the stovetop coffee taste different. Jason had arrived early, before 7, with bags from 7-Eleven full of donuts, orange juice, and even some breakfast platters from Lou's Diner. "Good morning, my beautiful queen," he said, kissing my forehead like when he was little and woke up from nightmares. He hadn't called me that in years. He hadn't kissed my forehead in years. He hadn't bought special food for me in years. Jessica appeared from the living room, dressed up as if we were going to a wedding. A navy blue dress, high heels, perfect makeup. She looked me up and down and smiled. "Hope, you need to wear something a bit more elegant. We're going to the bank. It's important that you look nice." She had never told me I looked nice. It was always, "Don't you have something less worn?" Or, "Maybe you should put on your cardigan. It's a bit chilly." Now she was helping me pick my least faded dress, the sky blue one I bought for my grandson's christening 3 years ago, the one I wasn't invited to but went to anyway, because a grandmother doesn't miss her own blood's christening. In the car, Jason drove slowly, which was unusual for him, always in a rush. He held my hand, squeezing it every so often. "Mom, I'm going to explain what we're going to do. It's very simple. You're just going to sign some papers so I can help you manage all this money. You know you've never been good with numbers." It was true. Since I was a child, math had been hard for me. That's why I left school in the 3rd grade to work at the Mendoza's house, taking care of their twins while Mrs. Carmen went to her piano lessons. That's why I always depended on men for anything bank-related. First my father, then my husband, and when he died, my son. "And what exactly do those papers say?" I asked, trying to sound smart. "They're for protection, Mom," Jessica intervened from the passenger seat. "So nobody takes advantage of you. So the money is safe. Safe from what?" "Oh, Hope, don't you worry about those details. That's what we're here for. You just relax and enjoy it." The First National Bank was crowded, as always. The smell of air conditioning and paper, people in line with tired faces, kids running between the blue plastic chairs, the constant chime of numbers being called from screens. "Now serving B47 at window 3. Now serving A52 at window 1. But we didn't wait in line. Jason spoke to a man in a suit who took us directly to an office. Tinted glass windows, a big desk, 2 computers. Mr. Davis greeted us with smiles and handshakes. "Mrs. Anderson, congratulations on your big win," he said, pointing me to a leather chair that sank when I sat in it. "We'll get this done quickly so you can go and celebrate." Celebrate. I liked that word. I hadn't celebrated anything in years. "Look, Hope," the manager continued, opening a folder full of papers. "Because of the large amount you've won, we need to do some special paperwork. Your son and daughter-in-law will be the administrators of your funds." "Administrators?" "Yes. It means they'll make sure your money is well invested, that it's not stolen, that you don't make any mistakes spending it. You'll still be the owner, of course, but they will make the important decisions." Jason squeezed my hand harder. "It's for the best, Mom. You know Jessica has a business degree, and I've been managing the accounts at the hardware store for years. We know what we're doing." The papers were filled with tiny letters. Words I didn't understand. Power of attorney, fiduciary trust, declaration of incompetence. My head hurt from trying to read it all. Can't you explain it to me word by word? I asked. Ma'am, these are very complicated legal terms, the manager said with forced patience. The important thing is that you'll be protected. Your family will take care of everything for you. Sign here, Mom, Jason told me, pointing to a line. And here too. My hand was shaking. Something in my stomach felt strange, like when I'd eaten something that had gone bad. But they were my children, my family. Why would I doubt them? I signed. Once. Twice. 5 times. 10 times. All done? Jessica exclaimed, hugging me. Everything's protected now, Hope. You can rest easy. And when will I be able to see my money? I asked. Very soon, Mom. First, we have to make some investments. Do some paperwork. In a few days, you'll have your new debit card. We left the bank and went to a casual restaurant in Lincoln Park for lunch. Jason ordered 3 beers, something he never did because he said alcohol was a waste of money. Jessica ordered the garlic shrimp, the expensive kind. Me, out of habit, I ordered a grilled cheese. No, Mom! Jason shouted. Today you order whatever you want. How about a steak? Lobster? Lobster. I didn't even know how to eat that. But I didn't want to look ignorant in front of the waiter, a young man who was watching us with curiosity. It's all right. The grilled cheese is perfect. That afternoon we got home and everything looked different. Jessica had bought flowers for the table. She had cleaned the windows. She had put new placemats everywhere. For the first time in years, my house looked like a prosperous person's home. Tomorrow we'll start looking for a new house, Jason announced. Something big, with a garden, in a nice neighborhood. It's time you lived the way you deserve, the way I deserved. Those words hit my heart. My whole life I'd been made to feel I didn't deserve anything good, that the little I had was enough, that people like me couldn't aspire to more. But as the hours passed, something began to change my mood. Jason would take calls and walk into another room to answer them. Jessica made lists in her notebook and covered them when I got close. They both spoke in whispers when they thought I wasn't listening. That night, when they were asleep, I got up for a glass of water. From the kitchen, I could hear Jessica's voice on the phone. Everything's set, honey. The old woman signed everything without reading a word. It's easier than we thought. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. She's so desperate for affection she'd do anything. Tomorrow we'll look for the house, but obviously it'll be in our name. My breath caught in my throat. I stood frozen against the wall, the glass trembling in my hands. The best part is that legally, she can't do anything now. She signed that she's mentally incompetent. Even if she figures it out, nobody will believe her. The glass slipped from my hands and shattered on the tile floor. The sound was like a scream in the silent night. What was that? I heard Jessica ask. I was paralyzed, my bare feet surrounded by broken glass, feeling my world had also shattered on my own kitchen floor. Nothing. Something probably just fell, she told whoever was on the other end of the phone. I'll call you tomorrow. Everything's going perfectly. I walked back to my little room like a sleepwalker, dodging the glass, wiping away the tears that had started to fall without my noticing. I lay down on my mattress on the floor, and for the first time, I understood the difference between being alone and being betrayed. Being alone hurts. Being betrayed by your own blood. That kills something inside you that is never reborn. The following days were like living in a play where I was the only one who didn't know the script. Jason and Jessica acted like the perfect family, but their eyes didn't lie as well as their smiles anymore. The first sign came when I wanted to go to the farmer's market, like I did every Friday for 30 years, to buy my tomatoes, my peppers, my cilantro, to chat with Mrs. Gable, the lady with the greens, who always asked about my arthritis and saved the best collards for me. "Where are you going, Hope?" Jessica asked when she saw me grab my shopping bag. "To the market, dear. We're out of laundry soap." "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll buy everything you need. You should rest." "But I like going. It's my routine. You don't have to do those things anymore. We're going to take care of you." The phrase, "take care of you," started to sound different. Not like protection, but like a prison. "I insist, Jessica. I want to go." Her smile hardened just a little at the edges. "Hope, The doctor says it's dangerous for someone your age to be out on the street alone. What if you get dizzy? What if you fall? What if someone takes advantage of you? What doctor? I haven't been to a doctor. The doctor from the bank, Mom. Jason chimed in, appearing from nowhere. The one who reviewed the papers you signed. He says people your age with your condition shouldn't go out alone. My condition? What condition? They looked at each other. One of those glances couples share when they have secrets. Your mental condition, Jessica said in a soft voice, as if talking to a child. The papers you signed explain that you're no longer fully in control of your faculties. What do you mean by that? That you can't make important decisions on your own anymore, Mom. But don't worry. That's what we're here for. I felt like I'd been put in a glass box. I could see the world outside, but I couldn't touch it. I am perfectly fine, I said, trying to stay calm. I know the names of all my neighbors. I remember everything. I can do my own math. Of course you can, Hope, Jessica interrupted. No one's saying you're crazy, just that you need help with the important things. That same afternoon, I tried to use my debit card to buy milk at Mr. A. Henderson's corner store. The card was declined. Sorry, Hope, but your card won't go through, Mr. Henderson told me, looking embarrassed for me. Do you have another one? But I just had money deposited, I murmured, confused. I returned home empty-handed, my heart sinking. Jason was watching the news on the new television that had appeared out of nowhere in the living room. Son, my card didn't work. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you. We canceled it. It wasn't secure. We'll get you a new one, but in the meantime, just ask us for whatever you need. You canceled my card? Without asking me? Mom, that's why you signed the papers, so we could take care of your money. But it's my money, and we're going to take very good care of it. Don't you worry. The weeks that followed were a slow descent into hell. Every day I lost another little piece of my freedom, but so little at a time that it seemed like I was exaggerating. Men came to install bars on my bedroom window. It's for security, Mom. It's not like it used to be. They changed the lock on the front door. The old one broke, Hope. This new one is much safer. They didn't give me a key. Why do you need one if one of us is always here? They disconnected the phone in my room. There was a lot of static on the line. Better to use the one in the living room if you need to make a call. But one of them was always in the living room, listening to every word I said. My clothes started to disappear. First, it was my old dresses, the ones with holes or stains that wouldn't come out. Hope, it was time to update your wardrobe. These just don't look right anymore. Then my comfortable shoes, my everyday slippers, vanished. We bought you some new, more elegant ones. But the new shoes were uncomfortable. They pinched my feet. They hurt my bunions. When I complained, Jessica told me, "You're just used to being poorly dressed. Now you have to get used to the good stuff." One morning, I woke up and my mirror was gone. The same mirror where I had seen myself getting ready for my wedding, where I had held Jason as a baby, where I had combed my hair for every funeral, every party, every important day of my life. It just fell, Mom. It was so old, the frame couldn't hold it anymore. What? When I asked them to get it fixed, they said they'd better just buy a new one. But the new mirror never arrived. I began to feel like I was becoming invisible, even to myself. One rainy October day, when the smell of damp earth seeped through the window frames and reminded me of all the rainy seasons I'd lived through in that house, I decided to go for a walk. I needed to feel the air on my face. I needed to see my neighbors. I needed to feel alive. But when I got to the front door, it wouldn't open. "Jason!" I yelled. "The door is stuck." "It's not stuck, Mom," he yelled back from his room. "It's deadbolted." "Why is it deadbolted if we're inside?" "So no one can get in, Mom. I told you, it's a dangerous world out there. But I want to go out." "Where are you going to go in this rain? You'll get sick." "Just for a little walk. Better wait for a sunny day." But when it was sunny, there were other excuses. It was too hot. There was too much traffic. It wasn't a good time. Maybe tomorrow. One afternoon, when I couldn't take the feeling of being buried alive anymore, I put on my cardigan and headed for the back door, the one that led to the yard where I had my pots of geraniums and mint. It was also locked with a padlock. "Jessica!" I yelled. "Why is the back door padlocked?" "Oh, Hope, I forgot to tell you. We had to lock it because the back neighbors have been stealing plants." Stealing plants? My geraniums? Yes, so it's better to keep it locked up tight. That night, listening to the rain beat against the barred windows of my room, I understood that I was no longer a guest in my own home. I was a prisoner. The next day, I tried to call my best friend Brenda from the living room phone. I needed to hear a friendly voice, needed someone to tell me I wasn't going crazy. I dialed her number while Jessica was making breakfast in the kitchen. Hello? Brenda, it's Hope. Hope? How are you? I haven't heard from you in weeks. I heard you won the lottery, is it true? Yes, Brenda, but… Jessica appeared at my side like a ghost. Who are you talking to, Hope? My friend, Brenda. Oh, how nice. Say hello for me, but don't be too long, your breakfast is getting cold. I couldn't tell Brenda anything. Jessica stood next to me the entire conversation, smiling, but listening to every word. Brenda, I'll call you back later. I'm about to have breakfast. Okay, Hope. Take care. And congratulations on your good fortune. Fortune. How ironic. I hung up and Jessica served my breakfast. Scrambled eggs, bacon, warm toast. All tasty, all prepared with care. You know what, Hope? She said as I ate. I think it would be better if you didn't talk on the phone much with your friends. Why? Because people will want to take advantage of you. They'll make up problems to ask you for money. It's better to keep your distance until things calm down. But Brenda is my best friend? That's exactly why. She's the one who could most easily take advantage of your trust. I finished my breakfast in silence, chewing each bite as if it were sand. Food didn't taste like anything to me anymore. Nothing tasted like anything. That afternoon, as I sat in my plastic chair watching the clouds move past the barred window, I realized something terrible. It had been 3 weeks since I had laughed. 3 weeks since I had sung while doing my chores. 3 weeks without feeling like doing anything at all. I was dying inside, and they knew it. And the worst part was, they were doing it on purpose. On Wednesday morning, while Jason was in the shower and Jessica was out running errands, something happened that would change everything. The phone rang, and for the first time in weeks, I could answer it without anyone watching me. Hello? Good morning. Am I speaking with Mrs. Hope Anderson? Yes, this is she. This is County General Hospital. Your grandson, Leo, is here in the emergency room. He had an accident at school and we need you to come and sign some papers. My breath caught. Leo, my 8-year-old grandson, the only one who still hugged me with real affection when he saw me, the one who called me pretty grandma and drew me pictures of flowers on scraps of paper I treasured. Is he okay? What happened? Don't worry, ma'am. He fell during recess and hurt his arm, but we need a family member's signature to run some tests. What about his parents? We haven't been able to reach them. You're listed as the emergency contact on the school forms. Without a second thought, I put on my least faded dress and ran to the front door, but it was locked. I searched the whole house for the keys. They were nowhere. Desperation made me do something I hadn't done in months. I grabbed a kitchen chair, dragged it to the largest window in the living room, and started prying the panes out with my bare hands. I cut my fingers, I scraped my palms, but I didn't care. My grandson needed me. I managed to climb out that window like a thief in my own home. I ran to the corner and hailed the first cab I saw. County General Hospital, please. It's an emergency. The driver, an older man with a kind face, saw my bleeding hands and torn dress. Are you all right, ma'am? Should I take you to an urgent care clinic instead? No, please. My grandson is at the hospital. During the drive down the expressway, watching the city that was no longer mine pass by, I realized something terrible. I hadn't seen Leo in over a month. He used to visit me every couple of weeks. Jessica always made excuses for him not to come. He was too busy with school. He had too much homework. Maybe another day. When I got to the hospital, I ran to the ER like my life depended on it. I asked for Leo Anderson at the front desk. I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't have a child here by that name. But they called me. They said he was here. Are you sure it was this hospital? Not the Children's Hospital or St. Luke's? I called the other hospitals. Nothing. Leo wasn't anywhere. It was then that I understood it had been a trap. Someone had wanted me to leave the house. But who? And why? I took another cab back home, this time with a shrunken soul and a brain working in a way it hadn't for months. When I arrived, the window I had escaped through was already boarded up with plywood. I knocked on the door. Jessica opened it with a look of feigned concern. Hope? Where have you been? We've been looking everywhere for you. We were so worried. I got a call from the hospital. They said Leo? What hospital? Who's Leo? My grandson. Your son. Jessica looked at me as if I were insane. Hope? We don't have any children. Are you feeling all right? My world turned upside down. Leo existed. I had held him as a baby. I had taught him how to tie his shoes. I had sung him happy birthday on his birthdays. Jessica, please. Leo is your son, the 8-year-old boy. Black hair, big eyes. Ma'am, I think you're confused. Jason and I don't have any children. We've never had any children. Jason appeared behind her, with the same fake look of concern. Mom, what happened? Jessica said you left on your own and you're saying strange things. Where is Leo? I asked my son directly. Who's Leo, Mom? Your son, my grandson. The boy who comes to visit me. They looked at each other with that glance that had become so familiar. The she's crazy glance. Mom, we don't have any kids. We've never had kids. I think you need to rest. That night I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake trying to remember. Did Leo really exist? Or had I made him up? Was I losing my mind like they said? But then I remembered something. The little cardboard box where I kept the drawings Leo had made for me. I searched my entire room for it. It was gone. The next day, when Jessica went out for groceries, I took the opportunity to search the whole house. In Jason and Jessica's room, I found something that chilled me to the bone. Under their bed was a box filled with my things, my family photos, my personal documents, my old letters. And there they were, all of Leo's drawings, all the little notes where he'd written, I love you, Grandma, all the evidence that my grandson existed. But there was something else in that box. Bank papers I had never seen before, statements showing enormous expenses, a new car, a trip to Hawaii, purchases at expensive stores, payments on credit cards I didn't recognize. My money was vanishing. I kept looking and found something worse, a folder with fake medical documents, psychiatric reports stating that I suffered from senile dementia, memory loss, and violent tendencies, all signed by doctors I had never seen. And at the bottom of the box, the thing that finally destroyed me, a recording on an old cell phone. I pressed play with trembling hands. It was Jason's voice, talking to someone. We've already spent like $1 million, but it doesn't matter. The old lady's got plenty more. The psychiatrist we found is great. All the papers look legit. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. We have her under tight control. The only thing left is to convince her to go into a home. Once she's there, no one will be able to talk to her. I heard my own voice on the recording, but it was distorted, edited. I don't know where I am. I don't recognize my family. I'm scared. They had edited my normal conversations to make it sound like I was crazy. With this, we have enough evidence for a judge to declare her completely insane. Then we can do whatever we want with the money without anyone asking questions. The recording continued, but I couldn't listen anymore. I sat on the floor of their room, surrounded by the evidence of my own destruction, and for the first time in months, I allowed myself to cry with rage. It wasn't paranoia. I wasn't going crazy. It had all been planned from the very first day. My own son had betrayed me in the cruelest way possible, by making me believe I was losing my mind while he stole my money and planned to lock me away forever. I heard Jessica's car pull up. I quickly put everything back as it was and left the room. I sat in the living room, my heart beating like a war drum. How are you, Hope? Jessica asked as she came in with the grocery bags. I looked her in the eyes. This woman who had pretended to love me, who had acted like a caring daughter-in-law, who had stolen not just my money but my dignity, my freedom, my sanity. I'm fine, I told her with a smile. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't lying. I was fine because I knew the truth. And the truth, even though it hurt like a knife in the chest, was better than living a lie. That night, I made a plan. I couldn't keep being a victim. I couldn't let them keep treating me as if I were crazy when they were the sick ones. I had to find a way out of there. I had to find a way to get my life back. I had to find a way to prove that Hope Anderson wasn't dead. She had only been sleeping. But now it was time to wake up. For 3 days, I played the part of the confused old woman they wanted me to be. I smiled when they spoke to me. I ate my food without complaining. I sat in my chair watching television like a rag doll. But inside, my mind was working like a Swiss watch. I observed their routines. Jason left every day at 9 in the morning and came back at 6 in the evening. Jessica went to the supermarket on Tuesdays and Fridays. On Wednesdays, she was out all afternoon visiting her mother. On weekends, they left together and left me alone, locked in. On Friday morning, when Jessica left for the market, I put my plan into action. First, I looked for the old cell phone I'd seen in their room. I found it in the dresser drawer, under some underwear. It had low battery, but enough for what I needed. I dialed my friend Brenda's number. Hello? Brenda, it's Hope. Listen carefully, I don't have much time. Hope, how are you? It's been weeks. Brenda, I need you to do me a huge favor. Come to my house this afternoon, around 3. Tell whoever answers that you're here to pick up a pot you lent me. A pot? But Hope, I didn't. Please, Brenda, just do as I say. Come at 3 and don't leave until you see me. Say you need to speak with me personally. Hope, are you okay? You sound strange. I can't explain now. Just come, please. And if you can, bring someone with you. Your son, the lawyer, your son-in-law, anyone. But have them come. I hung up and hid the phone exactly where it was. Then I went to the kitchen and turned on all the burners on the stove. No pots, nothing. Just the blue flames burning the air. I waited 5 minutes and turned them off. The smell of gas lingered throughout the house. When Jessica returned from the market, I ran to her, my face a mask of distress. Jessica! Jessica! I smell gas! Gas? She sniffed the air. Oh my God, what happened? I don't know, dear. I was just sitting here watching TV and suddenly I smelled this horrible smell. What if there's a leak? Jessica ran to check the stove. The burners were off, but the smell was still there. Hope? Did you turn on the stove? Me? No, honey. I don't touch the stove. You told me not to touch anything. But someone must have turned it on. Well, it wasn't me. Maybe there's a leak. Jessica got nervous. She opened all the windows, checked every burner, inspected the gas line. For the first in weeks, the windows of my house were open, letting in fresh air. I'm going to call the gas company to come check it, she said, worried. Yes, dear. That's for the best. We don't want to get sick. At 3 o'clock sharp, just as we'd arranged, the doorbell rang. Jessica went to open it. Good afternoon? Good afternoon. I'm Brenda King, Hope's friend. I'm here for a pot she lent me. No, I don't think. Hope hasn't lent out any pots. Of course she did, dear. A pressure cooker she lent me about a month ago. I need to return it. From the living room, I yelled with all my might. Brenda! Is that you? Come in, come in. See, there she is. I need to talk to her. It's just, Hope is a bit unwell. That's exactly why I'm here. I need to see how my friend is doing. Brenda came in, followed by her son Rick, who studied law at the University of Illinois, and her son-in-law Tom, who works for the city. When I saw my friend after so long, I couldn't help it. I got up from my chair and hugged her as if she were my own mother. Brenda, it's so good to see you. Hope, how are you? You look different. I'm fine. How are you? How's the family? Brenda looked me in the eyes, and I tried to communicate everything without words. She, who had known me since we were young, understood immediately that something was wrong. Hope, I need to speak with you alone. Can we go to your room? Jessica quickly intervened. No. Better stay here in the living room. Hope gets tired if she walks too much. She gets tired? Asked Rick, the lawyer. Ma'am, are you ill? No, sir, I answered. I feel perfectly fine. It's just, she's been having some memory problems, Jessica explained. Sometimes she gets confused. Confused about what? Asked Tom, who had a no-nonsense look on his face. About things. Like this morning, she turned on the stove and forgot about it. She almost poisoned us. Brenda looked at me, puzzled. You turned on the stove, Hope? This was my chance. I looked Jessica directly in the eye and said, No, Brenda, I did not turn on any stove. I don't cook. Jessica doesn't let me touch the stove. Hope, why would you say that? Jessica asked nervously. Because it's the truth. You've forbidden me from cooking, from leaving the house, from talking on the phone, from having visitors. Everything. Ma'am, you're confused. I'm not confused, I said in a firm voice. I know perfectly well what's happening in my own house. Rick, the lawyer, stepped closer to me. Mrs. Anderson, is it true that you recently won the lottery? Yes, sir. $32 million. And who is currently managing that money? They are, I said, pointing at Jessica. They made me sign papers I didn't understand. Did you sign voluntarily? I thought it was to protect my money, but now I can't even buy a carton of milk. My own debit card doesn't work. Jessica was getting more and more nervous. Sir, I don't know what's going on, but Hope sometimes says things that aren't true. She has problems with, do you have medical reports to support that claim? Rick interrupted her. Yes. Well, we're in the process, so you do not have an official medical diagnosis. No, but then legally, she is in full possession of her faculties. Tom joined the conversation. Mrs. Anderson, do you want your family members managing your money? No, sir. I want to manage my own money. Do you feel threatened or pressured in this house? I looked at Jessica. She was as pale as a sheet of paper. Yes, sir. They're holding me prisoner in my own home. That's not true, Jessica shouted. We're taking care of her. Can she leave the house freely? Rick asked. Well, it's just for her safety. That doesn't answer my question. Can she leave whenever she wants? The doors are locked, I said. And I don't have a key. Why doesn't she have a key to her own house? Jessica didn't know what to say. Brenda took my hand. Hope, do you want to get out of here? Yes, Brenda. I want to leave. Then let's go. You can't take her, Jessica screamed. She's not well. She's sick. Rick stood in front of her. Ma'am, if you don't have medical documents proving mental incapacity, you cannot hold this woman against her will. That's called unlawful restraint. It's not restraint, it's care. Mrs. Anderson, Tom said to me, do you want to go with your friend right now? Yes, sir, right now. Then let's go. I stood up from my chair, my legs shaking, not from fear, but from exhilaration. After so many weeks of feeling powerless, I was finally making a decision. I'll get my things, I said. You don't need anything, Hope, Brenda told me. The important thing is that you get out of here. I walked toward the front door. Jessica stood in front of me. Hope, please, don't do this. Think about Jason. Think about your family. I looked her in the eyes one last time. I have thought about it, Jessica. And I've decided I'd rather be alone than betrayed. Rick opened the front door. The afternoon air hit my face like a blessing. For the first time in months, I left my house of my own free will. For the first time in months, I decided my own destiny. Freedom tasted like pure oxygen after so much time breathing poison. Brenda took my arm and helped me into her car. Where do you want to go, Hope? Anywhere you say, Brenda, as long as it's far from here. As the car pulled away and my house grew smaller in the rearview mirror, I didn't feel sadness. I felt like I had been reborn. Brenda's house smelled of cinnamon and coffee, just like when we were young and sat in her kitchen telling each other our husband troubles. She set me up in the guest room, which had a real bed, with a soft mattress and clean pillows that smelled like fabric softener. That first night, I slept for 12 hours straight. 12 hours without waking up in a panic, without fear of someone entering my room, without needing to eavesdrop on conversations to know what they were planning for me. The next day, Rick arrived early with a folder full of papers. Mrs. Anderson, we need to act fast. Your son is going to try to prove you're mentally incompetent to manage your money. Can he do that? He can try, but we're going to prove otherwise. For the entire morning, Rick asked me questions. My full name, my date of birth, the names of my neighbors, important dates in my life, simple math problems, the name of the president, the day of the week. He carefully wrote down every answer. Ma'am, you are perfectly lucid. Any reputable doctor will come to the same conclusion. At 2 p.m, my phone started to ring. It was the simple cell phone Brenda had bought me that morning, one I could operate easily. The first call was from Jason. Mom, where are you? Jessica told me what happened. I'm so worried. I'm fine, Jason. But Mom, you can't just be out there on your own. What if something happens to you? Please come home. I'm not going back to that house. What are you talking about? It's your house. It's our house. It was my house when I could come and go as I pleased. Now it's a jail. Mom, you're not well. You can't make important decisions in your state. What state, Jason? Silence on the other end of the line. Your mental state, Mom. The doctors say, what doctors? I haven't seen any doctors. The doctors who reviewed your papers from the bank? Jason, I know what you did. I know about the fake papers, the edited recordings, all the money you've already spent. Another silence. Longer this time. I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. I found the box under your bed. I saw the bank statements. I heard the recordings. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Cold. No trace of the loving son he had pretended to be for the last few weeks. Mom, if you don't come home, we're going to have to take legal action. What kind of action? We're going to prove that you're not fit to live alone, that you're a danger to yourself. Do it, Jason. Do it. I hung up. Rick had heard the entire conversation. Perfect. I can use that call. Your son just confirmed he plans to use medical documents to have you declared incompetent, but he also indirectly admitted you knew about the fake documents. The next few hours were a hurricane of calls. Jason called me 5 more times. Jessica sent me text messages saying she forgave me for my episode and that I could come back whenever I wanted. I even got a call from someone who identified himself as a doctor, Hernandez, saying he needed to see me urgently to evaluate my condition. Dr. Hernandez? I asked. How do you know me? Your family hired me to perform a psychological evaluation. It's routine in cases like yours. Cases like mine? Elderly individuals with memory issues and erratic behavior. Doctor, I don't have memory issues or erratic behavior. Ma'am, that's exactly what people with those issues would say. I hung up and told Rick. He's not a real doctor, he told me. Or if he is, Jason is paying him to declare you incompetent without even examining you. On Sunday evening, as I was having dinner with Brenda, the most painful surprise arrived. There was a knock at the door. Brenda went to open it and returned with a look on her face I had never seen before. Hope, you have visitors. Behind her appeared Leo, my grandson, my real flesh and blood grandson, with his big eyes and black hair. But he wasn't alone. He was with a woman I didn't know. Grandma! Leo shouted, running toward me. I hugged him with all my strength, breathing in the smell of kids' shampoo in his hair, feeling his thin arms around my neck. My love, how are you? Where have you been? My dad said you were sick and I couldn't see you. The woman approached. She was young, maybe in her 30s, well-dressed, with a kind but serious face. Mrs. Anderson, I'm Carmen Ruiz, a social worker from the Department of Child and Family Services. I'm here because we received a report. A report about what? Your son, Jason, claims you are living in inadequate conditions, that you abandoned your home without notice, and that you are putting your grandson at risk by insisting on seeing him when you are not in a condition to care for children. I couldn't breathe. In a condition to care for children? I've cared for Leo since he was born. According to the report, you have exhibited erratic behavior, memory loss, and aggressive tendencies. That's a lie. Ma'am, I understand it can be difficult to accept these changes, but I need to conduct an evaluation. Leo squeezed my hand. Grandma, is it true you're sick? I looked at my grandson. This child who had drawn me flowers, who had told me I was the prettiest grandma in the world, who had asked if he could come live with me when he grew up. No, my love, I'm not sick. I'm just sad because your daddy won't let me see you. Why won't he let you see me? Before I could answer, the social worker intervened. Leo, why don't you go play in the yard while I talk with your grandma? I don't want to. I want to stay with my grandma. It'll just be for a little while, my love, I told him. Go play. When Leo went outside, Carmen Ruiz sat down across from me. Mrs. Anderson, I'll be direct. Your son has submitted medical documents that suggest you suffer from cognitive decline. He also has recordings where you sound confused and disoriented. Those documents are fake. The recordings are edited. Can you prove that? My lawyer is investigating. Your lawyer? Rick King. My friend's son. Carmen wrote the name in her notebook. Ma'am, in the meantime, I'm going to have to suspend Leo's visits until this is resolved. It felt like I'd been kicked in the stomach. For how long? Until a judge determines your capacity to be around minors without supervision. But I've never hurt him. I love him more than my own life. This isn't about love, ma'am. It's about safety. Leo came running back from the yard. Grandma, can we go to your house now? Carmen Ruiz knelt down to his level. Leo, your grandma can't take you today, but you'll be able to see each other again very soon. Why can't she take me? Did I do something wrong? No, my sweet boy, I said, swallowing my tears. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes adults have problems to solve. When will I see you? Soon, my love. I promise. Soon. Carmen Ruiz took Leo away. I watched him walk away through the window, turning back to wave goodbye to me. That night, I cried like I hadn't cried in years. Not just for the loss of Leo, but for understanding the depth of my own son's evil. Not content with stealing my money and my freedom, they had now taken the only thing that truly mattered to me, the love of my grandson. But as I cried, something inside me hardened. If Jason wanted a war, he was going to get one. This was no longer just about my money or my dignity. This was about my grandson, and for him, I was capable of anything. On Monday morning, I woke up with a mental clarity I hadn't felt in months. I got up, showered, combed my hair carefully, and put on my sky blue dress, the same one I had worn the day I signed my conviction, but this time, I wore it as armor. Rick arrived at 8 with news. Mrs. Anderson, I got an urgent hearing with Judge Martha Delgado for this afternoon. She specializes in cases of family abuse and financial fraud. What do I need to do? Just tell the truth. But first, we're going to County General so an independent psychiatrist can evaluate you. We need a real medical report to contradict your son's fake papers. At 10 in the morning, I was in the office of Dr. Ramon Castillo, an older man with white hair and a kind gaze that reminded me of my late husband. Mrs. Anderson, I'm going to ask you some questions. Please answer calmly. There are no right or wrong answers. For 2 hours, the doctor asked me about everything. Dates, names, calculations, logic problems, memories of my childhood, plans for the future. He had me draw a clock, repeat sequences of numbers, count backward from 100 by sevens. Do you know why you're here, Mrs. Anderson? Because my son wants to prove I'm crazy so he can keep my money and not have to give it back. How do you feel about that? Betrayed, but also determined to fight. Fight how? With the truth, doctor. Only with the truth. At the end of the exam, the doctor typed for 20 minutes on his computer. Mrs. Anderson, you are in full command of your mental faculties. Your memory is excellent, your reasoning is clear, and your emotional state, while understandably affected by the circumstances, is completely normal for someone who has suffered family and financial abuse. Can you put that in writing, doctor? I'm already doing it. And I will add that any document stating otherwise, without a thorough in-person examination like the one I just performed, is medically invalid. At 3 in the afternoon, I was at the Cook County Courthouse. It was a gray, cold building full of nervous people carrying folders and papers. But for the first time in months, I was one of the people with papers. Real papers. Papers that told the truth. Judge Martha Delgado was a woman in her 50s, serious but not hostile. When we entered her chambers, Jason and Jessica were already there, accompanied by a slick lawyer in a suit that cost more than all my dresses combined. Good afternoon, the judge said. We are here to review the petition of Jason Anderson, who requests to maintain the administration of the estate of his mother, Hope Anderson, due to alleged mental incompetence. Jason looked at me with a mixture of false sadness and real determination. Your Honor, my mother is suffering from severe cognitive decline. The medical documents we've submitted clearly prove it. His lawyer placed a thick folder on the judge's desk. Here are the evaluations from Dr. Hernandez and Dr. Martinez, both specialists in geriatrics, confirming the diagnosis of senile dementia with episodes of erratic behavior and memory loss. The judge reviewed the papers carefully. Was Mrs. Hope Anderson examined in person by these doctors? Yes, Your Honor, Jason's lawyer lied. On multiple occasions. That is false, I intervened in a firm voice. Mrs. Anderson, the judge said to me, do you wish to respond to these allegations? Yes, Your Honor. I have never seen either of those doctors in my life. The papers you have there are forgeries. Mom, Jason said in a syrupy voice, We know your memory isn't working well. It's normal for you not to remember. My memory works perfectly, Jason. I remember the day you were born. I remember your first word. And I remember everything you've done to me these last few months. Rick stood up and placed our documents on the desk. Your Honor, here is the psychiatric evaluation performed on Mrs. Anderson by Dr. Ramon Castillo of County General Hospital yesterday morning. As you will see, Mrs. Hope Anderson is in full command of her mental faculties. The judge took the document and read it carefully. Dr. Castillo, I am familiar with his work. He is one of the most respected psychiatrists in the city. Furthermore, Rick continued, we have evidence that the documents submitted by the opposing party are fraudulent. He placed copies of the bank statements we had obtained that morning on the desk. As you can see, in the last 2 months, withdrawals of over $5 million have been made from Mrs. Anderson's account. Purchases of luxury cars, international trips, jewelry, designer clothes. The judge examined the documents, her brow furrowed. Were these purchases authorized by Mrs. Anderson? No, Your Honor, I replied. I didn't even know my money was being spent. Mom, all those purchases were for your benefit, Jason said. The car was to take you to the doctor. The trips were so you could see beautiful places. What trips, Jason? I haven't left Chicago in 5 years. And the jewelry? The judge asked. What jewelry? I asked. I don't have any new jewelry. Rick placed more papers on the desk. Your Honor, here are the receipts. Diamond rings, pearl necklaces, gold earrings, all purchased in Jessica Anderson's name. Jessica turned as red as a tomato. Those were for Hope, so she would look nice. Where is this jewelry, Mrs. Anderson? The judge asked me. I have no idea, Your Honor. I've never seen any of it. The judge turned to Jason. Mr. Anderson, can you explain why there are charges for $30,000 for a trip to Europe when your mother says she hasn't left the city? Jason stammered. It's just, she doesn't remember. We took her, but she doesn't remember. Do you have photographs from this trip? Hotel receipts in her name? Silence. Mr. Anderson, can you explain the purchase of an $80,000 BMW when your mother doesn't even drive? It was for her transportation. And why is it registered in your wife's name? More silence. The judge leaned back in her chair and looked at all of us. I have seen many cases of elder abuse, but rarely have I seen one as systematic and cruel as this. She addressed Jason directly. Mr. Anderson, not only did you steal your mother's money, but you locked her in her own home, isolated her from her friends, made her believe she was losing her mind, and forged medical documents to justify your behavior. Your Honor, my mother needs care. Silence, the judge boomed. Your mother needed care, and you betrayed her in the most despicable way possible. She turned to me. Mrs. Anderson, what is it that you want? I want my money back. I want to be able to see my grandson, and I want them out of my life forever. Are you sure? They are your family. No, Your Honor. Family doesn't betray you like this. Family doesn't steal from you. Family doesn't lock you up as if you were crazy. They are not my family anymore. The judge wrote for several minutes. When she finished, she looked up. My ruling is as follows. First, all powers of attorney granted to Mr. Jason Anderson are immediately revoked. Second, the immediate return of all funds misappropriated from Mrs. Hope Anderson's accounts is ordered. Third, a criminal investigation for fraud, forgery, and elder abuse is ordered. Fourth, a restraining order is established prohibiting Mr. Jason Anderson and Mrs. Jessica Anderson from coming within 500 yards of Mrs. Hope Anderson. Jason shot to his feet. Your Honor, that's unfair. Everything we did was for her own good. Sit down, the judge yelled. If her own good included stealing $5 million and forging medical documents, then your concept of good is deeply flawed. She addressed me one last time. Mrs. Anderson, regarding visitation with your grandson, I am ordering an independent evaluation by the Department of Child and Family Services. But based on what I have seen here today, I see no reason why a woman in full command of her faculties should not be able to see her grandson. I left the courthouse with my legs shaking, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from relief. I had won. I hadn't just gotten back my money and my freedom. I had gotten back my dignity. On the sidewalk, Jason caught up to me. Mom, please, It doesn't have to end like this. We can fix things. I looked him in the eyes. My son, the baby I had held in my arms, the boy I had cared for when he was sick, the man I had worked my whole life for. There's nothing left to fix, Jason. You chose money over your mother. Now live with that choice. But Mom, I'm not your mom. Your mom was the woman who loved you unconditionally. That woman died the day you betrayed me. I turned and walked toward Rick's car. I didn't look back. There was nothing behind me worth seeing. 3 months after the trial, I woke up in my new house in Oak Park. A small house, but it was mine, with 2 bedrooms, a garden where I planted geraniums and mint, and most importantly, all the keys in my hand. I didn't get all the money back. Of the nearly $19 million I had after taxes, I managed to recover about $14 million. The other $5 million had vanished into expenses I could never trace. Cash withdrawn from ATMs, transfers to accounts that were closed before the trial, purchases paid for in cash. But $14 million was still more money than I had ever dreamed of having in my entire life. Rick helped me invest most of it in bonds and CDs that gave me a steady monthly income, more than enough to live with dignity for the rest of my days without depending on anyone. That Wednesday morning, as I was watering my plants and listening to the birds sing in the small peach tree I had planted by the kitchen window, the doorbell rang. It was Carmen Ruiz, the social worker from DCFS. "Good morning, Mrs. Anderson. I'm here with news about Leo." My heart sped up. I hadn't seen my grandson in 3 months, not since that terrible afternoon at Brenda's house. "Is he okay? Has something happened?" "He's physically fine, but he's been asking about you a lot. His father told him you were sick and couldn't see him anymore, but Leo insists he wants to visit you." "And what does the judge say?" "Our evaluation is complete. There is no medical, legal, or safety reason to prevent you from seeing your grandson. In fact, the psychologist who evaluated Leo says that the forced separation from you is causing him anxiety and behavior problems at school." "Can I see him?" "Yes, but there are conditions. The first few visits will have to be supervised, here at your house, with a social worker present. If everything goes well, you can see each other freely after that." "When? How does this Saturday sound?" Those 3 days until Saturday were the longest of my life. I cleaned the house 5 times, bought all the candy Leo loved, prepared his favorite mac and cheese, and got out paper and crayons so we could draw together. On Saturday morning, when I saw the DCFS car park in front of my house, I felt butterflies in my stomach like a teenager on a first date. Leo got out of the car slowly, looking at the new house with curiosity. He had grown in these 3 months. He was taller, thinner, and there was a sadness in his eyes I had never seen before. "Grandma!" he shouted when he saw me in the doorway. He ran to me and hugged me so tight he almost knocked me over. He smelled the same as always, of kids' shampoo, and that indefinable mix of dirt and sugar that all 8-year-old boys have. "My love, how are you? I missed you so much." "I missed you too, Grandma. My dad said you were really sick, and that's why I couldn't see you." "And what do you think?" "I think you don't look sick. You look the same as always. You look like my pretty grandma." Carmen Ruiz watched us from a respectful distance as Leo explored the new house. "Grandma, you have a yard. Can I help you water it?" "Of course, my love. This is your house too." We spent the whole afternoon in the garden. Leo helped me plant some new flowers, told me about school, about his friends, about his new teacher who was really good at math. He didn't mention his father once. When it was time to leave, he got sad. "When will I see you again, Grandma?" "Very soon, my love. Very soon." Carmen Ruiz wrote something in her notebook. "The next visit can be unsupervised. Leo seems very comfortable with you, and you look radiant, Mrs. Anderson." "I feel radiant." It was true. For the first time in years, I felt whole. A month later, Leo started coming over every Saturday. Jason would drop him off at the door without getting out of the car, without speaking to me, without even looking at me. Leo would run to the house, and I would greet him with hot chocolate and new stories. One Saturday in December, while we were making Christmas cookies in the kitchen, Leo asked me something that broke my heart. "Grandma, why is my dad so mad at you? Has he said something? He told me you took something very important from him and that's why he can't buy nice things anymore. And what do you think about that?" Leo thought for a moment as he decorated a cookie with sprinkles. I think nice things aren't as important as pretty grandmas. That night, after Jason picked up Leo, again without speaking to me, I sat in my new living room with a cup of chamomile tea and thought about everything that had happened. I had lost a son, but I had saved a grandson. I had lost a fake family, but I had found true peace. I had lost some of my money, but I had recovered all of my dignity. Brenda came to visit me every Tuesday. We would drink coffee and talk about everything. The new neighbors, the soap operas, our aches and pains, politics. Just like when we were young, but with the wisdom of having survived so many betrayals. Hope, she told me one day, you look 10 years younger since you left that house. I feel 10 years younger. Don't you miss Jason? It was a question I had been asked many times. The neighbors, the doctor, Rick, even I asked myself on quiet nights. I miss the little boy Jason was, the son I thought he was, but that Jason never really existed. What I don't miss is living in fear, with lies, feeling like I'm in the way of my own life. One day in January, while I was watering my plants, a certified letter from the courthouse arrived. It was the final verdict in the criminal case against Jason and Jessica, guilty of aggravated fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. 3 years in prison for Jason, 2 years for Jessica, and an order to pay a $500,000 fine in restitution. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel vengeance. I just felt empty, like when you finish a very sad book and close it for the last time. That afternoon, when Leo arrived for our weekly visit, he was quieter than usual. What's wrong, my love? Grandma, my dad told me he's going on a long trip for a long time. And how do you feel about that? Sad, but also, can I tell you a secret? Of course you can. I also feel a little bit relieved. At home, they're always angry, always yelling, always worried about money. Here with you, I feel calm. I stroked his black hair, so much like Jason's when he was a boy. Who is going to take care of you when your dad goes on his trip? My mom says I might go stay with my Aunt Sarah in Denver. But I told her I want to stay with you. And what did she say? She said she would ask the lawyer. Do you think I could stay with you, Grandma? I don't know, my love. But if it's possible, nothing would make me happier. 2 weeks later, Carmen Ruiz knocked on my door again. Mrs. Anderson, I have a proposal for you. Tell me. Jessica Anderson would like you to take custody of Leo while she and her husband resolve their legal matters. For how long? 3 years. Maybe more. And after that? After that, we'll see what's best for the child. I didn't have to think for a second. Yes. Of course. Yes. That night, as I prepared Leo's room with a new bed, a desk for his homework, and shelves for his books and toys, I realized something extraordinary. At 68 years old, I was beginning the happiest life I had ever had. I didn't have a husband to dismiss me. I didn't have a son to betray me. I didn't have a daughter-in-law to despise me. I only had a grandson who loved me sincerely, a house that was truly mine, enough money to live with dignity, and something I had lost for so many years that I had forgotten it existed: freedom. Freedom to decide what to eat, what time to get up, who to talk to, where to go. Freedom to be myself without asking anyone's permission. Freedom to live without fear. For the first time in decades, I was excited to wake up each morning to see what the day would bring. Life, after all, was just beginning.